Have you ever felt like your business is growing, but so is your stress and overwhelm? Today's guest, Nate Lindquist, is here to share how working less and achieving more isn't just a dream. It's a proven strategy. Ladies and gentlemen, welcome to the stage, my guest, Nate. What's up, brother Nate? How are you, sir?
What is going on? Carlos, how's it going, man?
I'm excited for this interview. Guys, you guys often hear me talking about less is more, and Nate is the perfect guest. CEO, founder, just incredible father, human being, serial entrepreneur, the Minimalist CEO. And we are about to have a great conversation here, guys. And Nate, let's go straight to it, brother, because you had early access, but you reach a point of overwhelm. What was that moment that you realized something had to change?
I'd love to pin it down to one moment. I think it's lots of moments. The transformational story as a whole, you thread a bunch of them together. I could say one of the big ones for me is as I evolved from cartoonist, caricature artist, I don't want a boss guy, to having a national marketing firm. I did a merger back in 2007, and it ended up that I was teaming up with another agency to sell my agency, a marketing firm that I ran for over 15 years. And the merger failed. I was working with the banking industry, the energy industry, home heating oil, and real estate development. So I don't know if there could have been three worse markets to be in at the same time. And so I could share with you what happened in that moment. Basically, I lost just about $1.3 million in 3 days.
Wow.
And it's like my whole world just became like, oh my God, I drove home from when I knew things were really going down, and it was like white knuckles holding the steering wheel. I sat in my car, didn't turn on the air conditioning, and was like, okay, what am I going to do? What am I going to sell? I had $7,300 in the bank, and I had employees, 12 full-timers, total of 22 with contractors, $75,000 a month burn rate. And I'm sitting in my driveway, didn't turn the AC on. It was almost 6 hours of just like, anyone who's almost 50 like me, it's like UHF. The whole screen's like snow, and I'm lightheaded and I'm scared. And it was, at the time, it was all about me. It was like, what can I get? What can I get? And I was thinking about all my problems. And then I saw my little baby girl, Annika, and I thought, wait a minute, it's not about me. It's not, what if it's not about me? What if this is an opportunity to not be the one doing it, having all the answers, having it figured out, and having the money? And I switched gears at that point from what can I get to how may I serve? And all of a sudden, all these ideas started to flow into my head. And I started thinking, who's going to be stuck? I had 153 clients. I had all these employees. I was like, what are they going to be worried about? What can I do for them? And when I tell you what happened after that, it was unreal. But I took everything out of the back of my car. It was a small SUV. And I laid out files and had computers out on my deck and in my lawn. And I started looking for where people had asked me to help them instead of what could I sell. And I know it sounds crazy, but it was like, this is what I do, this is who I am, that I lost touch with, like, I don't know, the soul, the human part. Not that I didn't care, because I've always cared. I've always loved people, but it was like, okay, what if this wasn't about you? And I thought, because of this situation, I started thinking somebody's already solved everything I'm struggling with right now. Someone else has already figured this out. And look at all the ego I got in here that I have to figure it out. So I started calling people, telling them, like, you asked me for some help, and I'm going to send you an email. I've got a strategy. I've got an idea. I've got a game plan. I didn't ask for money. I didn't have a program. I didn't have an offer except for just to help. And what happened was I started getting on the phone with people after these calls. I'm like, listen, I'm talking to this company. I came up with a way to help. I shared a vision. I had a CEO who came in to help me do a turnaround with someone who had sent me an email from one of the larger communication companies in the Northeast. This guy's name's PJ. And I was like, I'm working in this company. They're really in trouble. They're in the oil business. It no longer was about me. I said, I need some help. What can we do? This guy had done $100 million launch. I had no business talking to him. And he's like, tell me more. Tell me more. Dude flies out. I paid for his flight. That's it. Barely had enough money to do that. And he joins me to do a turnaround based on my vision and his experience. I made more money in the next month than I'd ever made in a year.
Wow.
And it was like, and I get as I'm telling the story, it's like, I didn't do it, but what I did was I let go of needing to be the person with the answers. And this beautiful thing happened where I had this experience, and I've documented it. I call it the gifts formula. I literally decided, what role can I play if it's not about me, but I'm on purpose. And I came up with 5 questions. I was like, if I ask these questions, I literally went back and reverse engineered it, and I created a formula so I could share my gifts and stop trying to have all the answers. And it was like, I look back now and I'm like, thank God I got my butt kicked financially. I'm so glad that I had that moment of trying to do everything, be everything. I was always seeking outside myself to find the answers. It's like this Google problem of, we're in this information age of more information, more information. It's like, now I tell people, stop seeking external validation. Go where you're curious, where you're challenged just a little bit, and where you're absolutely in love with helping. And as long as you start helping, see if it's helping, make it more helpful, just know that anything you don't know how to do will reveal, first of all, what you do know how to do, because that's what's left. And other people have already solved it. And it just changed my life, man.
Wow. I always say that clarity begins when you admit that the chaos isn't sustainable. And I bet you a lot of CEOs and founders and startups and a lot of people that listen to this podcast, a lot of agency owners, marketers, and authors, and we all go through that in life, right? And like you say, like understanding that our ego is not our amigo, and coming to, I like to call it the coming to God moment, coming to Jesus moment.
Absolutely.
For everybody that love. And it's exactly what it is, because most people, they would just give up. People kill themselves, lost $1 million like you did in 3 days. Now you got all these people that depend on you, employees, personnel, you got your family, you got your little girl, shout out to her, just turned 16. My little girl just turned 13, man, they grow so fast.
Yeah.
And you and I know that is less is more, but we got to pause it. We got to be like, hold up, no more shelf development. You don't need no more information.
Mm-hmm.
You need to pause. You need to breathe. Sometimes when you need to downgrade stuff, you know what I mean, to really start processing this. And it's so cool. This conversation, it's been long doing the show, because I think it's going to help so many people. And I love how you're like myself, you document everything. You put it out there, and you're like an open book. And speaking of an open book, you even have a book coming out next year. I'm not sure if you're allowed to share the name and the title. I'm not sure if people can even buy it and pre-sell. I bet you not yet, but what's the name of the upcoming book?
Okay, so my first book was Excuse Removal Blueprint, and we did a second edition last year that's available, Excuse Removal Blueprint. And I started looking at this whole process of the Minimalist CEO, and I'm going to announce right now, even though it says the Minimalist CEO, I'm no longer the Minimalist CEO. I want to help other founders, owners, business owners, any size, to become a Minimalist CEO. So I'm writing the book, The Minimalist CEO Method. And what's cool about this, it's sort of exemplified in the book. I'm co-writing it with Steph Karlstad. She actually was reporting directly she was running so many of the divisions of Menards, working with John Menard. And so I'm co-writing it with her, because she's just so brilliant at so many things in the construction and sourcing, distribution, logistics, operations. And I'm like, you know what? I know it, but I don't love it. So I was like, what do you think? And so it's called the Minimalist CEO Method. The goal is to have the book released after the new year. And I'm also digging into the vault. So everything that we've trained and all that, we've over 2,000 workshops where we're distilling it down to the best of the best of the best. And we're just going to give it away in the book.
I love it, man. I love it.
Yeah.
I love it. Which actually leads to my next question, which is, what is the core principle of the minimalist CEO method and approaches that you've been using over the years? And why does it resonate so deeply with business owners?
I think the big thing is focus on what's essential and not on everything. And, we have a system inside the Minimalist CEO method called the One Focus Power System. And we show our clients and anyone who learns from it how to create something called a pop block. What's your purpose? What's your outcome, which is a number or an event? And what's your plan of action? But here's the deal. You're not allowed to Google it. You're not allowed to use AI. You're not allowed to buy a book. You can buy my book when it comes out. And we're going to give so much free stuff away in the book, links to stuff, workshops. It's going to be unreal. The principle, the core of it is that you don't have to have all the answers, but you have way more of the steps. And the thing is, if you notice what normal is right now, it's overwhelmed with information. So it's like, what is essential? Don't add anything more. The core principle is you have gifts. Don't add anything more. Business systems are easy. Don't buy business systems. I got eMyth Mastery certified, Tony Robbins Business Mastery certified. I worked with Chet Holmes for 3.5 years on Business Breakthrough. I worked with all these great teachers and leaders and studied this stuff my whole life. Here's the deal. Business systems are simple. It's like 2 to 5% of what you need to know. A book on business systems is not going to change your life. It's going to distract the hell out of you. Yeah. So what we want you to do in the Minimalist CEO method is focus on who you're going to be. What's the identity that you're going to bring? Who you're going to become? And then get yourself into alignment with your gifts. And there's 2 pieces of your gifts. But the simple is focus on the essential. Business systems are simple. You can put your business SOPs together. Ready for this? 6 to 11 hours. We're going to show people how to do it. It takes 6 to 11 hours. And how do you do it? You'd be willing to get your hands dirty before you hand it off to tell people what's a business system? How would you do it if you couldn't be there? Get systems minded. You don't need a book on it. And people can get all up in arms about this, but there's a whole industry based on let me make this complicated. It's not complicated. What's complicated is what's going on in here, making you think it's complicated.
It's the media commercials, man. That's right. Oh, man, I love it. I often talk about, my brother Dave, you got to operate from a systems approach, not a goals approach. And you're right. People, they way too overcomplicating things out there into courses, programs, and books versus, no, let's focus on what is going to move the needle. How, like you say, who you want it to become. Mm-hmm. First, right? And then reverse engineer it, the ideal life. Like for me, I love, taking my daughter and going out there, jumping from waterfalls and do wild stuff, adventure. Since she's very little, I take her around parking lots. We are looking for moms selling tamales and strawberries. And we ask them how much you make for a day. And then we give them 2-3 times that amount. And then some of the stuff, sometimes we put some videos and photos. I don't like to do that much because once upon a time, I was that person on the streets with my mom selling that bread. And that I wouldn't appreciate somebody put a camera in my face, handing me money. So I do it to inspire others. And a shout out to every guest, all the initiatives that we do on the show to raise money to help more people. You know what I mean? Mm-hmm. But again, it's like at the end of the day, when it's between us and God, what is the lifestyle that we want? How much more are we donating above and beyond the tax bracket? How much more are we doing it? Are we operating and living from our authentic self, right? In between our family, in between our day-to-day activities, we plug in our clients, our podcasts, our consulting, right? It's again, life is short, man. I just lost a friend a couple of days ago. You're like, damn, like out of nowhere, just young. And it's like, tomorrow isn't guaranteed. And they tell me something because right now, there is a shitload of entrepreneurs right now drowning in tasks. They like tasks oriented, they goal oriented, right? And they have all these to-dos. Somebody right now that's drowning, that's super stressed out. What is the first practical step that they can take right now, today, this week, to finish the year on fire, to regain control of their life?
Oh, it comes down to maybe the burning thing that's in my mind as you're talking about making a difference. It's not about the money. It's about the impact in other people's lives. A lot of people don't know that my wife and I have helped launch several initiatives, including in Peru for sexually abused young girls, My wife started an orphanage. We joined up to help fund the orphanage. I would say, first of all, it's not about you. The second thing I would say is that turning point moment, if I were to whittle it down to when I actually made the change. So you're overwhelmed. It's because you're thinking about what you're going to get. And I did this meditation called the Dirt in the Face meditation that I've really adapted. And life isn't guaranteed. And I went to that moment, if I were dead, and looking up, and I had my last view, I couldn't move, I couldn't talk, I couldn't connect with the people who I love, but everyone who I loved and cared about is looking down at me and they're saying, what are the things were you worried about? What are the things that were important to you? And all they're thinking is, I want one more moment with my dad, my brother, my son, my husband, whoever it is. And go to that place and think, you don't know what the next hour of your life's going to look like, or if you're even going to get it. So if you were given an opportunity right now to focus on what matters, sit down with a pen and paper, leave the business, leave the office, leave the chaos, clear your calendar, do something I call a drive-by. And people are like, oh my God, what'll happen? Find out. Find out. Because when I did something called the drive-by, I drove by my appointments, I drove by my team members, and I said, you know what? I've got to find out. And I sat down and I said, what is my ideal day if it's all about what matters and I only have the next hour or two to do what matters? What would matter? Because why would it change? Because, now I've been given 10 years, 15 years, 30, whatever. We don't know. And sit down and say, okay, what would I put my attention on, my deep focused attention with my heart and my soul and my gifts that causes me to give and grow, that is focused on inspiration, not circumstance, that focuses on what matters, not just what I'm afraid of right now. And what if you were doing it for somebody else and you're willing to reach out beyond yourself? Just ask that question and then just ask the question, look up. Wayne Dyer used to say this before he walked out on stage, and he told me this. I'd gotten to know him and have a couple conversations before he passed and studied a bunch of his stuff, Dr. Wayne Dyer. And he said, before he went on stage, he just said, how may I serve? How may I serve? How may I serve? And then shut up and listen. Your soul has a message. Business systems are simple. The problems you're most worried about have already been solved. Now, get into alignment with what you're put on this earth to do. What problems do you solve? What have you proven? Evidence creates confidence. So just stop informing yourself or creating new things that aren't you. Stop adjusting to the marketplace. Calm down, slow down, and take full responsibility for who you're being right now. What would I love it to look like if it's about how may I serve? And you watch, because the simplest business system, the fundamental teaching of Minimalist CEO, to become one, start helping. Don't wait. See if it's helping and make it more helpful in alignment with who you're being.
Yes. Amen, brother. Amen, my friend. As you're talking here, I'm thinking about, going way back, man, which a cause that you mentioned that you and your wife doing, that that I'm big on this cause, is to help. One of my goals is to help end the hunger, sex trafficking, and organ trafficking.
Dude, that's why I'm here to support you and just give you so much love. I'm sorry about your friend, by the way.
No, man, I appreciate it, brother. I appreciate that you were talking, and I was even thinking about the Monteverde brothers, the good friends of mine. They happen to be the directors of Sounds of Freedom. That they literally took that message. They showed the whole world that it's possible, to people coming together and do what they did with that movie. And a new movie's out. I highly recommend you guys go check it out as well. City of Dreams. Is also, it brings more awareness to this cause, and we can all do something, man. Is whether that's always, even if you don't have the money, if you know of a little girl that been trafficked that now is back, if you have the coaching, the training offer, to guide that kid, that child, and teach them. And it's like we all can do this. It's not about the money. It's about like we've been talking about here, Nate. It's like doing the stuff that nobody's watching and helping someone out there that's between us and God, that we are not posting it. And man, I'm just really enjoying this conversation, brother, because I know that together we can do more. And for everybody that's stressed out, I often say that you can't fix what you don't simplify. So listen to the replay, take some notes, pay attention to what Nate's talking about. Like, go do that drive-by. Go back to that coming back into God, to Jesus moment, and to really ask those questions, ask those tough questions. And your concept, Nate, of opposite thinking is fascinating. How can someone apply in their daily decision making?
The opposite thinking strategy is sort of, I practice something in alignment with that called ethical defiance, which is noticing what everyone else is doing and noticing that I didn't get to be in business because I wanted to follow the rules, but I wanted to understand my values. I want to understand what's important. So I thought, as I'm looking what other people are doing, a lot of times 9 to 5, working 9 to 5, it makes sense because that's what we're taught to do. You go to school, you do what you're told, you do things for other people so you can get a score. Then later on, it's the industrial age teaches us that you have to be in a chair doing what you're told for these hours. And then you find out that your average, I'm giving you a little behind the scenes where this comes from, is I'm defiant. I do not want to follow the rules, but I don't want to break them just for it's not like the rebel. I'm going to wear my pants backwards just to do it. But it's like, why am I? So this is what I do. A simple way to do opposite thinking strategy. It's just the simplest way. And I like to keep things simple. Carry a journal around. I call it the noticing journal. And I don't care if you're doing, I've worked with people doing $20 million a week and people doing, barely getting started up or in deep, deep debt in some of the turnarounds that we've done. And a little bit about background doing turnarounds, companies in trouble. This is what I'll tell everybody. Carry a journal around. Mine's right here. It's right here. I carry one with me all the time. I get ones that I like holding. I like the texture. I carry a cool pen. I'm going to show you. I started as a cartoonist, so I'm going to show you this. It's in my pocket now. I carry an art pen, an India ink art pen, because that feels good to me and I like to write stuff down. And I have this noticing journal. And what I do is I open the page up, put the date at the top and say what I'm noticing and the date. And I split the page. On one side, it says useful. And the other side, it says not useful. And what happens is around us, we have everyone telling us the rules and we have rituals that are automatic because we're like 95, 96% controlled by our automatic behavior. So it's like, okay, how can I be a fly on the wall in my business, in my life, in my relationships, with my health? So I don't eat the food when I said I'm not going to eat it, or I don't say the thing or not follow through when I thought I was going to follow through. So this noticing journal is simple. Useful, you split the page, useful, not useful. You put the date on the top and then you write down during the day, just notice what pissed me off. I call that the piss list. What are the rules, the rituals, and the feelings that I'm having that don't feel right, that don't serve me? And let me look. Do I have to do this? Is it useful to me? A little bit of Byron Katieisms there, but she's great at asking questions. I love what if I just eliminated this from my life? And then you start to look around and is this normal? Am I practicing this because it's socially acceptable? That I practice this? It goes back to noticing the rules, the rituals, and feelings that no longer serve me. Write it down. You don't even have to look at it. Look at the end of the week, though, flip back through the book and see what rules you followed again the next day. And you're like, whoa. I thought I wasn't going to do that. And then in 30 days and pick one and eliminate it. And little by little, you find out, your average entrepreneur, the stats I just looked at recently they're wasting 3.5 to 5 months a year in distraction. Because someone says, what's the least inspiring place you can be? Put them in a box. While you're in that box, what's the least inspiring thing you can do? Have a lack of deep focused attention by getting distracted, pulled into social media distraction, fear, constant underlying protect, our subconscious mind, while we're in automatic mode, says protect the unit. So what do? We fear the bill. We fear the email. So what do? We scan our text, we scan our email, we make ourselves available to protect ourselves from oncoming fire. And then what happens is we're mostly in distraction. We waste all this time and we don't get to have this incredible fulfillment of what would I love my day to look like? What would my rules be? And it's like that thing right there has given me so much in my life that I never thought was possible until I realized, wait a minute, I don't have to be at an office. I don't have to be at that. If there's anything on my calendar that doesn't serve a useful purpose in the way that I'm going to create impact and serve lives in the world, I find a way as soon as possible to get it the hell off my calendar because I love life and I love deep focused attention. People say time is the most valuable resource. I disagree. People have all the time in the world and they squander it, but deep focused attention during that time, that is magic. You can get down on your knee and talk to someone, a child who's struggling. You can be there for a business owner who's like, I don't know what to do. And you can say, slow down. It's opposite thinking is noticing I'm doing this, but I don't want it in my world. I'm doing this, but I don't want it in my business. I'm doing this, but it doesn't serve my ability. If you don't serve yourself, you don't take care of yourself, you can't give away what you don't have. So you've got to notice the normal so you don't play that game. And you want to talk about freedom to build your business, to become who you love. I always say this, and it drives people nuts. You can't accommodate anyone. You literally can't accommodate anyone because everything you do is for yourself. It fulfills a need. So you can't. My first speaking tour was called Accommodate No One. You can't. And people are like, oh, no, I've got to be there for the lady crossing the street. You're doing it because it feels great to you. It's fulfilling something in you. It's like, well, no, because I have to be there because my wife expects. You're afraid of something. It feels good. You're getting significance and all the different needs that are important. So that would be the noticing journal, what's useful or not useful, and the rules, rituals, and feelings, and look back in a week and just do it every day. Carry it with you because it's like you're a fly on the wall in your life. In all aspects of your business, you can say, I've decided this matters. I'm going to either eliminate it or I'm going to commit to it, but I'm not going to have gray area in my life anymore.
Yes, I love it, brother. I love it. It is so powerful, guys. You guys know me. Writing is the doing part of thinking. I got my little old school Bic pen. Remember that one from the 80s and the 90s?
Yeah.
And I love it because, so guys, just powerful stuff. I knew that Nate's going to bring his A game, useful versus what not useful. Start that journal. I often use a framework, negative versus positive. And it's so true, man. The same way how you guys know I'm big in speaking. And the same thing, right? When you speak life into others and you speak positivity into yourself and you speak love into yourself, and those are the things that you attract. That is that person that if you are now looking for a relationship and if you speak love into yourself, you're going to see eventually, you're going to find that person in the mirror. And we can use from examples in early on. You guys know I'm big in study early. I love Sun Tzu, The Art of War. I like to study the early empires. And, the people that early on, whether it was Nelson Mandela or Hitler, when you say something long enough, often enough, people start believing in you, whether it's good or evil.
Including you.
Right? And that's why we got to take the time to, okay, how am I speaking to myself lately? Are we operating from that place that's going to bring us the highest fulfillment? So you got to help I talk this so much, so many coaches out there, as you and I know, and consultants and people, they operate as if they are a nonprofit. They want to help the whole world, but they are forgetting to help themselves. And now they deep into this hole and they feel like that's their identity, that they are trapped, that they are caged. And, but sometimes it's just like having a Nate, having a Carlos on your right, on your left, whispering, hey, breathe. Get that journal, right? Yeah. It's like, man, I love it, brother. I always say from the stage, sometimes the answer is hidden in what feels counterintuitive. Let that sink in for a minute, ladies and gentlemen. And Nate, tell me something, brother. What is the common excuse you hear from entrepreneurs, and how do you help them overcome it?
The most common. So you want the most common thing that I hear?
I want the most common excuse, because I know you and I, we out there helping CEOs and founders and startups for so many years. I want the ones that are right now they are in the cringe. They are doing it right now. They're torturing themselves. Come on, you guys know how we roll, guys. I'm going to tell you guys what you guys should hear, not what you want to hear. And when I have my badass friends over here on the stage with me, we want to make sure that you guys are getting the best out of both of us so you guys can do it and apply it, because it would change your entire lives, as you and I know, Nate. So I wanted you to give me the most common one, and then how do you help them overcome it with some practical steps?
So, boy, I tell you, most common one, I would say, I don't have the stats in front of me, but I'd say my gut, I'm just going to go with what my blink on this. Thank you, Malcolm. I love your energy, Carlos. I love you, man.
Nah, man, I love you, brother. You know how it is,
Yeah.
man. I already knew this is gonna be awesome because we're gonna play. We're gonna all out. You know what I love about you, because we play it all out. And right now, guys, as you guys love to see me saying, when you guys, I don't know what you think, I don't know what you post, blah blah blah. Just document the shit. Document it, like, the stuff that Nick was saying to journal. Take one up, grab your phone. What does piss you off? Let me tell you what pisses me off. Just do a video like that. You know what I mean? And put it out there. People would love to connect with the real us. They want to see what the real you feels like, goes through it whenever shit's hitting in the fin. You guys have no idea how much people would connect with you, way more. So many people out there, Nate, as you and I know, right? They go in on GPT, they see somebody do a post, they see somebody do a talk, and they will try to mimic. Like, no, do you. Like, just be raw, be real. Like I was talking to somebody earlier, they're like, Carlos, I'm broke. I need help. Can you hook me up on some stages, on some, whatever? Let me see what I can do. Let's collaborate. I know a bunch of people, Carlos, that I can send you away. I'll take care. I'm going to give you a nice percentage bigger than what I normally do. But again, that person was real and raw with me. He told me that he was broke. He was struggling. He needed help make some money. And I say, thank you for being real and honest. I want you to do that when you are actually talking to companies too, saying that you are actually struggling and this and that, because watch them relate more. Because no makeup. But I know that I get fired up, but I thank you, brother, for the kind words. But now, ladies and gentlemen, tell me what is the
I tried everything, and no matter what I do, it's just not working. Ready? All right. So this is my first response, gets people really pissed off. It's like, how long have you been in love with that problem? Like, what do you mean? Well, you obviously love the problem because you've been practicing it for a while. Well, what do you mean? When you're trying, they're like, how could I possibly be in love with this problem? I was like, well, you're spending so much time on the problem that's keeping you broke. What if we spent more time on the problem that keeps you wealthy, and we get back to this one later? Like, well, what would that look like? I said, well, first of all, it's a weird question. And you asked. So the other piece, Carlos, is that I just say, like, let's do this. Let's take an inventory of the everything that you're doing by taking it. Let's empty out the garage. We have a workshop we take people through, just empty out the whole garage. And I speak, and my wife will laugh because my father-in-law says, empty out the garage if you're cleaning it, and don't put anything back unless you would invest in it again. Unless you really are going to use it now. And this is, and anything, just take it all. You got to take it all out first, because every inch of this space called your life, your business, and your journey is yours. Now, he doesn't say that part. I'm adding that in. So I'm like, empty the garage out. Now, as a minimalist CEO, if you're going to become a minimalist CEO, decide what you're practicing, because every time you feel this deep, intense emotion of tried everything, you keep seeing pictures of things that don't work. And what's happening is you're practicing all these things that don't work, and you pile it onto your thinking, onto your emotions, onto your energy, and now your team. And what happens is you're talking your projections with yourself. Every time you say it, you're hearing it. You're adding more to your plate. You're filling yourself up with all the stuff that doesn't work. I said, so let's do less but better. I love that. I'm going to use it. I'm stealing that from Greg McCowan in the Essentialism, because I love that book. I listened to it like 15 times I went on a long run, and I was in Martha's Vineyard. I was like, man, this guy gets it. And now instead of trying everything, let's decide, if you were to get ready to watch a movie with someone you love and care about, and you're going to spend this magic moment, you only got a few hours, how much time are you going to spend watching a movie trailer, watching different movie trailers to make sure this is the right experience that you would absolutely love? Oh my gosh. Sometimes we don't even have time for the movie. We watch so many movie trailers because we want to make sure it's the best experience. It's like, okay, imagine if you put the same amount of energy into the life and business you're going to live before you start living it. And then you could decide that you want to have the right feelings and the right experiences, because we're going to start using imagination. And this isn't like people are like, oh, this is too woo. It's not. Imagination has been misrepresented. Imagination is about experience. It's pre-experience. It's the lab in your soul and your mind when they come together and say, what do you think of that experience? And if you look at that, like, that's going to be challenging. Yeah. Does it feel good? Do you want to have that experience? And when people go have that experience, it's like, let's only put into that experience who you're going to be. And then the things you say, well, how am I going to do that? How you can only be there for half a second, because how is huge, overwhelm, and waiting. Because you know what you know who you are, you know what problems you solve. Let's just stay in your lane and let's ask who can help out, WHO. And let's know that someone else, let's just accept the fact that that problem you've been in love with for so long is no longer your problem. We're going to let the person who's already solved that come in and be like, oh, this over here, this over here. And don't put anything else on your calendar, anything else on your plate, anything else out of your mouth, anything else in your thoughts. You are going to become vigilant in the experiences that you pre-create. Or, I've heard recently from Jesse Elder, great way of saying it, prepave. So if you're gonna have milestones, and you're gonna be on the road with, be the Sherpa of your experience on this journey that you're experiencing. You're going out in the future, having this experience in your business, and then decide you're not going to pile up. You're going to try everything. You're going to create the experience in a place where when the next step shows up, it scares you. You see the next step. It's simple. Your palms sweat. You can see it, hear it, taste it, touch it, smell it. You know this is the path you're going down. And now you also have this incredible certainty because the thing you're doing, you're like foregone conclusion. I've got this. I'm the badass. I can crush this. And then make sure the things that have already been solved, don't spend time on it. Allow someone who's a superstar to see your vision of the difference making and helping other people. And I'm going to tell you, people I had no business working with show up and are like, let me handle that. You want to see what I can do with this bat? You want to see what I can do with this tool? And they'll come in and they're going to make quick work of the thing that you've been in love with, struggling with for 6 months or a year or your life. That's it. That's the answer. So I could sum it up real simple. Fall in love with emptying out the garage and only doing you, and don't ask, how am I going to do it? As soon as you do, just say, who can help out?
Wow. I love it. What a great answer to this question, brother. I love it. I often say an excuse is just a dream killer in disguise. That's what it is. And wow, man. And another thing, I know you and your wife, man, you guys are big in charity. You built 24 charitable programs. How does that experience influence your business strategies, Nathan, and everything that you do, brother?
I won't work with anyone who won't do an outreach. So much like our conversation, if someone's not consistently giving and making a difference for children and families in need in some way, I just won't work with them. And it can be in some small way. If they're like, I'm not doing it, say, great, here's a way you can do it. Much like you did with your cause. That's so important for your community, Carlos. It's amazing what you're doing. And, the help that you're providing for those families. And I think for me, it's a guidance system, sort of like that internal GPS says, like, if my heart can't be connected to it, if it's not about humans, then what's it about? And it always seems to end up back in what can I get? So what it's helped me with is, first of all, it helped me meet my wife, because I joined the board at a very difficult time. And we've all had like I said, it's not only one time. I was at a very difficult time, and I said, okay, I've got to make a difference. And I saw what she was doing, building the orphanage. I was like, I want to help out. And it was this beautiful opportunity to make a difference for these kids in Peru. And she's just a powerhouse. She's amazing. Her name's Margaret. And she's my muse. She's the greatest thing that's ever happened to me in my life. She's my number one, my priority, my person. And you know what? I used to think when I had the marketing agency, I would say, when I put my head on the pillow at night, I really want to be able to be in love with who I'm being. And the fear, when I remember that, the biggest thing is the fear was gone. If I was fighting for someone else, for something bigger than me, is anyone who's hearing this right now, if you have a fear and you think about what's bigger than you, it's like the 90-pound woman who lifted the car off her son. And you can Google that. The jack broke. How is she going to do it? She's a tiny little thing. Everyone's like, well, ask ChatGPT. She didn't get a fitness program. She didn't sign up for, how to improve your biceps or get a six-pack. She lifted the car off her son because she had a bigger purpose. There was no, and when you give the best you have, I think Tony Robbins calls it your worthy adversary. When he got his castle in Del Mar, it was, this whole idea is like, when it's not about you, you just give it the best. You throw everything at it, and you know why you're there. And then it's like, if something doesn't quite go wrong, you're like, you know what? Tim Ferriss, I just love giving credit where credit's due. He says, collateral benefit. If I'm fighting for you, Carlos, in your campaign, and something doesn't quite come together, it's going to come together for someone. As long as it's not about me, it always seems to come together. And it just allows me to sleep really well.
Amen, brother. Amen, man. No, man. And you guys know me. I used to ask money for none of my cars. I always funded everything. And then Brazil got very danger. A lot of my farms out there, I started selling them, pretty much most of them, because people were trying, constantly trying to kidnap my family. You guys know my stories. My stepfather was murdered because of farm dealings, letting people borrow money. So it's already running the family. And in Brazil, it's like you murder somebody from my family, I murdered from yours. And I didn't want it to continue that.
Yeah.
I wanted to be like, no, you know what? I'm going to look at the other side. An eye for an eye can only make the whole world blind. But when you do good in third world countries, people will talk about it. And unfortunately, some bad people, cartel and evil people. And now we're just shifting. You know what I mean? Like, I've been in that hole as I get older, got my daughter, and now we're just shifting with less is more. You can do initiatives. You can still help others, and you can shift by going out there on the streets, looking for homeless, often some of those homeless are veterans, people that give their lives, looking for moms on parking lots in New York City, guys, selling tamales and selling freaking strawberries, and ask them how much you make today and give them 2 to 3 times that amount.
Yeah.
Don't post it maybe once in a while to inspire your friends and loved ones, but do it because it fuels you. And that's the stuff. The other day, Nate, my daughter, she saw me giving my, what do you call it? Your gorro that you put in your head. What do you call it? My mind went blank.
Hat?
Yeah, not the hat. The other one that covers your ears and the whole head.
The beanie hat? I don't know.
The beanie hat. Yes, the beanie hat. I went blank. I was thinking in Portuguese right now, talking about Brazil. And she saw me giving that to a homeless and buying him, coffee and donuts. And then the other day, she had hers. And she's like, hold on, daddy. She saw another homeless laying down on the floor. She took her out and she walked over there to give to that person. And I was like, so cool, man. It's like, because, you know what I mean? They see us, kids, they're always mimicking and it's natural.
Yeah.
And she didn't care that her hair was going to be all messed up, because she often hear me telling stories when I wanted a toy when I was a kid, or I wanted more than just rice. That's all we had sometimes. And my grandma was like, hold on. She would make more rice. Now you're here. Go take those plates to your friends that live on the street. That's freaking cold. That's raining and they don't even have the rice. You go bring them the rice. Mm-hmm. Automatically, bro, my perspective was like, no complaint.
Mm-hmm. It changes everything. Your problems shrink.
Yeah, you're like, I'm complaining, pissed off. It's the holidays. I want to get a toy. I'm poor. I'm broke. I don't have a father. I live in this chaos life. People being murdered and just fucking sorry for my French, but that perspective, man, God bless my grandma, because she implanted that on me. And that's what I have, that flipping that positive, negative into positive constantly, automatically on that mode where it's not, it's you are blessed. Like people listening to us right now, you get a home, you have a heater, an AC, you'll be able to control the environment. And a lot of people out there, they don't have it. They're not going to have a plate today or tomorrow, and they're not going to be here to tell the story. And that's why I love helping others like you, man, with powerful stories, and they're actually out there doing good to helping people. And that's why we do what we do. And we're going to continue pushing and inspiring our friends, all my podcast friends, to create cool initiatives like I'm doing, like to raise funds, to have people reach out to us, name your price. As long as you're not going to offend me, name your price. We're going to get your story out there. We're going to share with the world. We're going to help others and take it to the next level. But what is one of the top mistakes you see entrepreneurs make when they try to do everything themselves? Because I know you and I both been there, a younger version. And from everything that you see, brother,
I still do it sometimes, man. I still, because we're as business owners, we have ideas all the time. And I think the idea is like, we get inspired and I'm going to do that. So, I keep people around me, including my wife and people close to me people like you, we're just like, keep each other in check. Like, what Keith Cunningham says, get in line, stay in line. Yeah. So, but go ahead and finish your question. But I'm still, what I love about being a mentor and a writer and a speaker is that every time I'm teaching, I'm reminding myself the stuff that's easy to forget. So it's like, we have a joke on the whiteboard in my house. When I went back and I reread my book a number of years ago, and I said, I just inspired myself, because we forget the stuff that we've already, it's like I figured it out, but don't be so sure that you figured it out. So go ahead and finish your question.
I love it. I love it because it's basically, like the top mistakes that we see in people making, trying to run a business by trying to do every single thing themselves, right? It's like, just, you gotta just listen, just pause, listen to your own shit. Like the stuff that we preach, pay attention. I remember sometimes I would snap watching soccer or doing something, and my daughter like, Daddy, remember what you preach. And how can you argue, right, with a little girl? That's a little mini version of us, brother, like a little mini coach, right? It's like, and again, it's literally going back and just try to, like, I often tell people, as you guys get on stages and start speaking more often, I tell my clients that all the time, take that money, reinvest back in your business. The biggest gift I can give to somebody is to make enough money and now go hire a CEO, a CFO, a CMO, a social media team, all the tasks that you guys don't like doing it. As you guys are making more money, getting on the stage and getting all the capital back, put it back in your business. So now you can like disconnect, go live the minimalist CEO life, because now you're like, okay, great. It's like, give up the control. It's okay. Just trust them to make the right decisions. You train them. You told them exactly how you run your business. They understand. You have your blueprint. Now just go do it. And be okay about it. Let them fail forward. Let them fail faster. Let them fail frequently. If they are failing, if they are testing, if they are doing it, that means a good sign. It's a good sign that they are doing it. And you got to be okay giving that control. I think that's one of the biggest things for me was giving that control. Here, CEO, here, CMO, here, go run this, go do that. It's trying to stay in control of everything. It's all the unnecessary stress. And one of the biggest gifts that I think I gave myself was buying my time back by hiring good people that now can do a lot of the stuff that I don't have to no longer do. Now I can go on the middle of a Monday or Tuesday, go on the waterfall with my daughter, go jump a cliff, into a beautiful waterfall in the back, and having these memories since she's 5, 6 years old that we're going to take it to the grave. Right? Those parking lots, feeding people, and all the stuff that really fuel our souls. Now, when we do show up on the podcast, on the stages, now you guys feel our energy. It's sincere, it's integrity, it's love, it's wanting to better the world. You know what I mean? That's my take on it. What's your take, brother?
Yeah. So I think the big thing is operating out of fear. I'm not saying we're not going to have fear, because we will. And fear tells us like, oh my gosh, if you do it from a place of, if you notice the fear, just notice it. And then I think the big thing is the tendency is I'm just going to react and go, oh, I better go do this. And I look at times where I quickly did a project or quickly did a marketing plan or quickly did a launch because I'm like, oh, a bill came in or a team member left, or it's like this panic mode. I think when you notice fear, hit pause. Be willing to hit pause and say, okay, what does this mean? Hit pause and then look at the full spectrum of your life. I call it the 5 forces: mind, body, spirit, relationships, and business. I generally throw in novel experiences or adventure, and I throw in spouse or partner. And I say, okay, if this isn't you just nurturing yourself to create magic moments and to love this journey, what's keeping you from doing that, from creating that? Just ask that question. Anytime you get fear, and notice what you're trading to quickly make something okay and go into that frenzy mode, and create the space. And don't think that doing something, people are like, just do it. You know what? I think stop it. Like, let's do something beautiful for a second, Carlos. I'm going to suggest, okay? I'm going to do something. Let's just stop. And I want people to feel this like, oh my God, I'm watching a podcast. I probably should be making calls. Oh, I've got to get back to someone on the banking question. Just let's do it. Let's have a 10 count. Let's see. What would I love to experience as I serve the world with what God gave me to give?
And look at
I get like
second, something so easy that we can all do.
That just
10 seconds. I literally went back to the forest in those 10 seconds when we stopped. I gave myself a memory, me and my grandma on the forest, in the hammock, just eating our mangoes. Just such a beautiful place with her sharing her wisdom.
Yeah.
And
the thing is, I'll use an example from this morning. I was talking to my wife. We're getting ready. We like to open businesses that are just part of something we would love to do. We opened up a coffee shop and we're putting SOPs in place. People are like, how can you do that? And also do the writing and the mentoring. I'm like, this, why would we not do it? Like it feels right. We're connecting with people, and it's teaching me to slow down in a very special way, to see people. And I did a post recently on Facebook. Someone said, what's your real job? And I said, well, you mean what I'm supposed to be doing? Like, I was like, is there a list of what's responsible? Or is it just what's useful for me, or what you think is a real job, or what my parents thought I was going to be? And he's looking at me like, I'll just get a coffee. And he's like, what did I just do? It's like, you have no idea what you just got into. And I met these amazing people. One guy does garbage pickup, and he's talking about his morning adventure and the people he spends time with and why he loves this part of his life. Everybody's on this magical journey that's their own, and they can pause and make it magical. And it's this. So this morning, I did my meditation. My wife and I do this beautiful meditation together, and we kind of change it up. And one of the messages that we left the meditation with was the repeat of an image of something that you would love. And this is what I know I'm creating, and this is what God's going to provide, what's going to show up in my world. I don't even know how. It's going to show up, but I don't even need to. I'm going to let go. And the punchline was, you're going to say to someone something along the lines of, you're not going to believe what happened. You're not even going to believe this. 90 minutes later, a dear friend calls me. I just signed this amazing contract. And he's like, I hope it's okay. I wrote you into it for this project. And he's like, it seems like you found a place to slow down. We just really need just your type of leadership. And it's this global campaign. And I hope that it's okay with you that, I see us doing it. I just think it's beautiful that we could work together. And he was a client and he's a friend. 90 minutes later after that conversation. So I called my wife. I said, you're not going to believe what happened. Whoa. I said it. I was like, it's true. So space is doing something. It's the Tao Te Ching says, do nothing and leave nothing undone. I'm not saying don't run your business. I'm not saying don't make sales, but give yourself space to nurture your soul and to trust in the faith in something bigger than you, and watch. Just watch when you allow things to show up. It's like, oh, I thought I had to pull on every door, but sometimes they just open up for me.
Amen, my brother. Amen, my friend. Wow. What a beautiful, beautiful segment, my friend. And as you guys know, as we come towards the end of it here, Nate, I'm about to ask you a very profound question that I have asked every other legend that been on the show. And it's your eulogy. Is 70 years from now, you are 100. And I doubt I'll be alive, but if I would, I'll be there with my little Italian Brazilian hat.
I'm going to be 126 when I'm.
Oh yeah, I know you look young as hell. I know, but you're.
Hey, look, come on.
You doing good.
I'm going to be 50 in February.
Right. And your best friends, your loved ones, is gonna get to that moment, and it's time to read it. Nate Lindquist was ... In your own words, my brother, who was Nate Lindquist?
Nate Lindquist was relentless and dedicated at helping other people. He just loved and loved and loved and kept loving in every way he could, with every breath he had and every moment that he was given. He shared his gifts with this world. He didn't leave anything out, didn't leave anything off the table. It was not about him.
My brother. I love it, my friend. Wow, what a segment, guys. Nate, my brother, what is the best place to hang out with you? Where do you hang out on social media? The best place that people can follow up with you? Where do you hang out the most on social? And for people to reach out, my friend.
Yeah, I have been posting and connecting with people on both LinkedIn and Facebook. The best place is The Minimalist CEO. So if you go to Facebook, The Minimalist CEO page, and also if you go to Facebook, you look me up, you'll see me, Nate Lindquist, on Facebook. You'll see my mug on there. But that's the place. Just, get connected, pop a message. And also we have the Minimalist CEO podcast. And we got some really exciting things coming with that. So we'll make sure whatever new ways to get in touch are made available in that platform.
The minimalistceo.com, guys. I want you guys to check it out. Follow Nate Lindquist on LinkedIn and on Facebook. Wow, what a beautiful breath of fresh air for anyone here that's feeling stuck in the grind. Go back, listen to this episode. Go ahead, Nate.
NateLindquist.com is going to be a great place. We're actually putting if you want to connect, NateLindquist.com. So NateLindquist.com. That'll be another place that you'll have access to every place where you can find me moving forward as well.
And we'll make sure that link is under every description throughout all social media and podcast links there for distribution. As you guys know, guys, this podcast is free. We try to bring the best and the brightest, most incredible leaders, CEOs, celebrities, athletes, people that are out there like Nate who are doing something, who is going through the grind, who is just making things happening, so that we can, as you guys can see, I do my really best in asking them great questions. I never tell them what I'm going to say. So that's why we're able to build this incredible energy and bond on the show live in real time. It's not like we are reading a teleprompter. It's like connecting deeper, doing what others don't do, can't do, and won't think of doing. And I'm just super proud, brother, of us connecting here. And again, it's always a pleasure. Guys, follow us, follow Nate, follow this podcast. You guys know we already have so much love on Apple and Spotify, but continue, tag somebody, give us a 5-star review on Apple. We are just becoming one of the top podcasts. It's their LinkedIn family. I love you guys like you have no idea. We are getting almost 400,000 impressions a week on a weekly basis for the 7 weeks now. So I love you guys showing love on our posts on LinkedIn. That helps this podcast grow, because as people are looking at our posts, they're seeing these episodes. Then they tuning in, they downloading the podcast, and every single one count. They help our brand grows, they help us make more money, help us give back more. And that's what we are here, guys, is to just take things, information to a whole nother level, and education, and help you all out. And hopefully you guys are loving it. As I always see the great feedback, as I always say, life is all about the mission, never the commission. And for anybody that's feeling like giving up, is tired, you remember Nate, you remember this conversation, you remember your brother Carlos, 6'5", 300 pounds, giving you a hug, lifting you up, and saying, the days that breaks us are truly the days that makes us.